Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Thank you for tuning in. So, after Foodie Beauty allegedly reunited the kitten with its mom, she came online and essentially blamed the reactors for the kitten's ultimate fate, whatever that may be. And of course, as part of this conversation, people in her chat were asking her about the funds that she collected, presumably for the care of the kitten. And Foodie Beauty said that she does not know how to refund super chats and that YouTube collects its 30% and it's just so complicated, and therefore she is going to hang on to all of those donations. She told people that in exchange for the money that they donated, they can now request special content. Now, of course, throughout her stream, there were many people coming into chat and asking about the money and if she was going to return the money. And Foodie went back to her usual response that if the person hasn't donated, they have no right to ask. So unless you sent her a super chat, you have no right to question where that money is going. In making that statement, Foodie's logic is non-existent and her argument is wrong. People have the right to question where donated funds are going, even if they didn't donate themselves, especially given the fact that Foodie Beauty has a very poor history of collecting funds for certain purposes and then not using those funds for said purposes. Foodie has collected funds and has told people that she was going to send them postcards. That did not happen. Foodie collected funds and said that she needed the money for an apartment in Canada, a new car in Canada, because she was going to be relocating there. That also did not happen. Foodie collected money to take Sam and BBJ to the vet. She did not use the money for veterinary visits. She used it on herself. And now Foodie collected $500 to $600 for this kitten, and she is keeping the money for herself, and the kitten is back on the street. All of these examples fall under diversion. So she collects donations with a specific intent and purpose, but instead uses those donations for personal expenses. In her case, most often for fast food. So what she's doing is she's diverting those funds for personal use. What Foodie Beauty is engaging in is fraud. She is defrauding her viewers. She solicits donations only to use them on herself. The very definition of fraud is deceit, falsehood, or other fraudulent means being used to gain money or property. In other words, using deceit and falsehood for personal gain. And if that does not describe Foodie, then I don't know what does. Governments have entire institutions set up to look into and prevent fraud. There are specific laws on the books regarding fraud. There's mail-and-wire fraud, there's bank fraud, there's tax evasion, there's a whole slew of them. On a smaller level, businesses, agencies, other institutions all have departments within them that deal with compliance and fraud. They also have hotlines, whistleblower hotlines. What this means is that if an employee is aware of a wrongdoing, they can call the hotline anonymously and report it. I bring this up to say that somebody does not need to be actively participating in a scheme or to have been defrauded themselves in order to report a concern. We often hear of schemes that defraud the elderly or defraud the vulnerable or defraud the average person. That doesn't mean that we remain passive about it or don't get involved just because we're not the ones being defrauded. We have the right to intervene and ask questions. It's for the common good. For Foodie to say that you shouldn't be asking her about the money unless you donated, what she's saying is that you shouldn't have integrity. That's what she's saying. What she's saying is that you should look the other way because it's not your problem. What she is saying is that you should be like her. Oftentimes, people who are being scammed don't even know that they're being scammed. And that could be for a number of reasons. It could be because the scammer pulled at their heartstrings, and this latest situation is exactly what Foodie did. Or it could be that they have some type of a relationship, real or perceived, with the scammer. Or they have really bought into what the scammer has told them. So the person being deceived doesn't even know that they're being deceived, oftentimes until it's too late or until somebody else points it out to them. Foodie does not want anyone interfering with those possible donations. She doesn't want those beezers who donate frequently to open their eyes and find out that they're being scammed. So her comeback has become, if you didn't donate, it's none of your business. You shouldn't have integrity. You should not be concerned about the general good, about the public good. What Foodie fails to also realize is the fact that her channel is public. Anybody can view it at any time. And if anybody can view it, anybody can question it. And this opens her up to scrutiny, which she does not want, because again, she has done this in various different ways, time and time again. People do not need to be donors to ask questions. They do not need to be donors to protect others from getting scammed. You do not need to be a victim to help prevent somebody else from becoming a victim as well. This is something that Foodie couldn't possibly understand because her mindset is always focused on scamming and deceiving people. Foodie has filmed and broadcast herself committing 2 crimes, the first being snatching the kitten from the street, because apparently you cannot do that in Kuwait, and the other is asking for donation. According to a text exchange between Jelly Pumpkin and Paused Kuwait, which is an animal welfare organization in Kuwait, they said asking for donations is illegal here unless it goes directly to the hospitals. In asking the viewers for help and asking for donations for the little kitten, Foodie Beauty made those donors complicit in her crimes. Complicit means to be involved with others in an illegal activity. And Foodie was engaged in 2 illegal activities, the snatching of the kitten off the street and the asking for donations. So yes, people have even more of a right to question where that money is going, because if it's not going to a hospital or to an organization, as Pause Kuwait said that it should, people have the right to ask questions even if they did not donate themselves. Foodie Beauty does not understand the concept of doing good for the sake of good. That is a foreign thing to her. She does not want to be held accountable. She does not want to answer for any of her actions because she knows that they are wrong. What was interesting to me is that Foodie used the word nefarious at least 2 times to explain her actions. She tried to say that she did not have any nefarious intentions in taking the kitten. That is a very interesting word choice, and even more interesting is the fact that she used it more than once. For her to also say that the kitten had not eaten since the morning was also interesting. How did she know that? She also claimed that the kitten was near death. However, it was putting up quite a struggle when she especially yanked its tail to see if it was male or female, something that you're not supposed to do. That is not the way that you check. Her face the entire time that she was eating chicken was full of both impulsiveness and apathy. It was a combination of duper's delight and telling people to F off. And this was before she even launched her plan. And the moment that she received that first super chat, she lit up and kept looking at Salah, trying to get him to go along with what she was implying. The kitten was not bony. It was not at death's door. Its eyes were not bulging out of its head. And even if the kitten did have ear mites, why was that not addressed at the vet? You would think that that is something that they could easily address, putting drops in the cat's ears. But no, she walked away with an antibiotic that she never named. And she also told Salah that there's no reason to produce receipts. The reason I'm rehashing all of this is because this was very well orchestrated to get people to part with their money. She engaged in a crime, got others to partake in this crime, and yes, the rest of us who did not donate have the right to ask questions and to scrutinize the situation. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and until the next one.